Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, my name's Charles Goslin. Now, I didn't know what topic I was going to pick for this presentation, so I went home this weekend, and on my car ride with my mother, I turned to her, asked her what topic should I speak about, and like the first thing she said was, "Why don't you talk about beer?" Now, she probably thought it was a joke, but obviously I took it a little bit more seriously than she did. So, I'm going to talk about the origins of beer today. Now, purpose of my speech, I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about its history, how it's developed throughout civilization, how it's turned into what it is today, how it's affected us. I picked this topic for another reason, because we're all in college now. I know it's for school and everything, but it's also known as the party times. So I guess beer, alcohol would take a part of that. So maybe we'll learn something more about it. Maybe it's not just that entertainment type we thought it was. Picked a few sources. There's a couple of history pages I picked. I put them in the bibliography. Got most of my information from there. So, my speech will be about, as I said, the history, do the manufacturing, the different styles of beers, what we have today, and beer today, what it means to us, and how we enjoy it compared to the civilizations of the past. So, the origination of alcohol. Alcohol is made from this fermentation process. Humans weren't actually the first ones to figure this out. Turns out that fruits, you leave bananas on the counter, they start to deteriorate, ferment, decompose, they turn brown and ucky. Well, this is the start of the fermentation process, which is also the start of the alcoholic process. So say in the forest, with fruits, they fall off the trees, they land on the ground, they start to turn brown, decompose, ferment. When this happens, that chemical starts to ooze out, the reaction starts, ferments, and this strong odor attracts that of monkeys. And these monkeys will pick it up, they'll eat it. Turns out it had health benefits for them. So they're the first ones to catch on to this fermentation thing. And eventually as humans figure this out. So the first recorded history of the presence of alcohol that was deliberately fermented was 9,000 years ago by the Chinese. They made a type of wine that included rice, honey, and fruit. The first barley beer was 5400 BC. That was found in Iran. Europe started 6,500 years ago. Egypt 5,000 years ago. And finally in Honduras, we have as early as 1,500 years ago. So, interesting fact about the Egyptians. It's sometimes said that the pyramids would not have been built without beer. So, to Egyptians, beer was much more than just an entertainment. This heavenly liquid, aquavite. It was a type. It was sterile more than water. So the way they did it, it would kill the bacteria. Whereas just grabbing water from the Nile, probably had all those bacteria in it. The alcohol, the beer, was more sterile. It had nutrients in it from the grain. So think of it not quite Gatorade, but a more nutrient source of liquid that sustain themselves. So the Egyptian monarchs would literally pay workers in beer to build their pyramids. So without beer, riots probably would have revolted and the pyramids wouldn't be there today. So that's how it's affected civilizations. Each civilization independently developed their own way of beer. That's where aqua vitae comes from, the Latin for water of life. That's become ambiguous over the years. But essentially I got it down to it's the specific type of alcohol beer that they make in their region that they call aqua vitae. So it's their substance, you could say. Yeah. There's several types of beers out there. I'm not going to go into that because that could go on for a whole nother presentation. Essentially, I'm going to talk about a few. We have ales, bock, lager, and stout. Now, these are all started the same way. They're all fermented by the same process. But what they do to develop the taste and the texture is different. So they'll start with the same substance, fermented, whatever it could be, grains, barley. They ferment it, and the way they change the flavor is by adjusting the temperature and the amount of time they let it sit out. So it says for like ales, they keep it at a high temperature and store it for a short amount of time, maybe a month or a few weeks. For stronger, such as lager, they keep it at very cold temperatures and store it for a longer period of time, several months. I didn't go all into depth about that. Like I said, it could take forever, but in recent civilizations, they would add like berries, sugars. They kept experimenting this, come up with their own natural flavors. So we eventually developed in what we have today, as I said before. So, last point, beer. What does it mean to us today? So, it doesn't mean as much as it used to back then, because we have health benefits from other sources we have created over time. Water is much cleaner. We gain nutrients from many other things besides beer, whereas in the past it meant much more to them. They were able to store it for long periods of time, such as on sailors, they would bring it along in their ships, store it, and it would last for a much longer duration than water. So today just means to us they call it the lubrication of social life. So a group of friends get together, crack a few beers, and it helps the words, I guess, flow out. Not in the sense that we all drink too much, but it's that, again, the lubrication of this conversation. That was my speech today, because I talked about history, manufacturing, and what it means to us today. So I hope you take that into account whenever you crack your next cold one. It means a little bit more to you than it did before. So thank you.